Hey everyone, ready to dive deep into the world of Avatar? Fire and Ash? Released on December 19th, 2025. This film has sparked endless discussions, and today we're uncovering every thrilling detail. If you enjoy this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps us grow. And for more incredible movie explorations and hidden gems, subscribe to the channel. Now, let's unravel the magic behind this cinematic masterpiece. Avatar. Fire and Ash returns us to the breathtaking, war-scarred world of Pandora, where the Sully family is still grappling with the devastating aftermath of Nedium's death. The emotional weight is felt from the opening frames. There's a solemn, almost meditative tone as Jake Sully and Neytiri mourn in silence, each retreating into their own ways of processing grief. Neytiri's rage simmers just beneath the surface, while Jake grows more distant, almost hollowed out. But peace doesn't last long on Pandora, not when the Ash people are rising. This film introduces us to the Manquan clan, better known as the Ash people, a volcanic-dwelling Nausicaa tribe unlike anything we've seen before. They're not only resistant to heat and soot, they reject Aiwa herself. These are not peaceful forest dwellers or ocean explorers. They are aggressive, hardened, and fiercely isolationist. Led by the fearsome Varong, played with cold intensity by Una Chaplin, the Ash people represent a spiritual and ideological rebellion against the core of Nausica's culture. Their blackened armor, obsidian weapons, and ash-covered skin make for a striking visual contrast. And the way they weaponize their volcanic terrain is brutal and efficient. The stakes rise as the Sully family's journey intersects with this volatile tribe. Kiri, still grappling with her mysterious connection to Aiwa, begins experiencing stronger and more chaotic visions. There's a moment, brief but chilling, where she touches the ash-laced ground and hears not whispers from Aiwa, but something darker, something corrupted. It's never spelled out, but the implications are haunting. Is the connection to Aiwa fracturing or evolving? Meanwhile, we're introduced to the Wind Traders, a new Nausicaa clan that lives in floating airships tethered to Pandora's upper atmosphere. They're nomadic, agile, and deeply philosophical, emphasizing adaptability over tradition. Their leader, Palak, portrayed by David Thewlis, offers a stark contrast to Varong. Where she rules through fear, he leads through vision. The Wind Traders act as reluctant intermediaries in the growing conflict, seeing both the dangers of rejecting Aiwa and the futility of clinging too tightly to her. Some of the film's most beautiful sequences are set aboard their drifting sky havens, where bioluminescent creatures swim through the air and Nausicaa soar on newly evolved banshees that glide with winged grace. But Fire and Ash isn't just about introducing new tribes. It deepens the moral complexity of Pandora. Colonel Quaritch returns, still navigating his hybrid Nausicaa body with discomfort and bitterness. His vendetta against Jake is more personal than ever, yet this time, he's confronted with the consequences of his own existence. There's a particularly poignant scene where Quaritch meets a young Ash warrior who sees him not as a demon, but as a symbol of potential strength, an outsider who understands rage. This unlikely parallel casts shadows on Quaritch's actions and adds layers to a character once defined solely by brute force. Visually, the film is an overwhelming achievement. Cameron's camera doesn't just observe Pandora, it dances with it. Volcanic eruptions contrast with serene sky vistas. Underwater scenes are replaced with sequences inside magma caverns, glowing with ethereal red light. The attention to detail in the Ash People city, half sunken into cooled lava, with molten rivers flowing beneath glassy black bridges, is nothing short of breathtaking. The climax of the film delivers on both scale and emotion. A three-way clash unfolds, Jake's family defending a sacred Aiwa shrine, the Ash People pushing for total domination, and the RDA exploiting the chaos to mine deeper into Pandora's crust. During the final confrontation, Kiri unleashes a power we've only glimpsed in prior films. Plants bloom from ash, lightning arcs through volcanic smoke, and for a moment, it seems Aiwa is not simply watching, but intervening. It's the most spiritual and mythic moment in the franchise so far, pushing the boundaries of what connection to Pandora really means. In the aftermath, there are no easy answers. Jake and Neytiri survive, but at a cost. One of their children chooses to stay behind with the Ash people, believing that healing can only come from understanding both sides. Kiri disappears into the mountains, seeking solitude. And Quaritch? His fate is left deliberately ambiguous, dragged into the magma after a brief, quiet act of hesitation. Redemption or retreat? Avatar. Fire and Ash isn't just a bridge between sequels. It's a reckoning. It takes the emotional themes introduced in the way of water, grief, family, legacy, and amplifies them through fire, ideology, and myth. It asks what it truly means to belong to a world, and whether harmony is even possible when that world is changing. James Cameron doesn't give us a clean ending. He gives us a fractured one, achingly beautiful but undeniably painful. As the screen fades to black and the closing song, composed by Simon Franglen, begins to swell, we're left with more questions than answers. And that's what makes Fire and Ash unforgettable. It doesn't just show us more of Pandora, it dares us to feel more of it, to question, to mourn, and to hope. If you love this deep dive, go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And if you want more deep explorations into films like this one, from hidden meanings to cinematic storytelling, be sure to subscribe and join our community. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep exploring the magic of movies. Avatar, Fire and Ash, released on December 19, 2025, doesn't begin with spectacle. It begins with silence. The kind of silence that follows loss. In the wake of Needium's death, the Sully family is fractured, and this film wastes no time immersing viewers into the ache that grief has left behind. Jake Sully has grown more inward, more withdrawn. No longer the confident warrior we remember, but a man searching for clarity in the smoke. Neytiri, once fire and fury, now seethes with something colder. And just beneath the emotional surface, the heart of Pandora begins to shift, threatening not just their family, but the spiritual thread of the entire planet. What sets Fire and Ash apart from the rest of the franchise isn't just its stunning visuals or continued world building. It's the courage to question the very mythology that's defined the series. For the first time, the Nausicaa are no longer a unified people. They fracture ideologically, spiritually, and violently. Enter the Ash people, the Manquan clan, a Nausicaa tribe born from volcanic terrain and hardened by fire. They do not worship Iwa. They reject her. Their bodies are stained with soot, their culture built on survival rather than spiritual harmony. And their leader, Varong, is perhaps the most complex antagonist James Cameron has introduced so far. Her philosophy is not rooted in greed or conquest. It's forged in trauma and rebellion. Opposite them, but just as enigmatic, are the Wind Traders. This nomadic sky clan lives not on land or sea, but in the air, drifting in colossal floating airships tethered to Pandora's upper atmosphere. Their way of life, led by the introspective Palak, emphasizes adaptability, neutrality, and observation. They do not align themselves with war, but they do not hide from it either. Where Varong seeks to destroy what she sees as spiritual weakness, the Wind Traders attempt to understand all sides. Yet their detachment may be their downfall. As the story unfolds, the Sully family is drawn into a conflict that is as much ideological as it is territorial. Quaritch returns, still trapped in his recombinant Nausicaa's body, his vendetta burning hotter than ever. But this time, he's not just an enemy from the outside. His interactions with Varong hint at something deeper. There is a connection between them, a shared resentment toward those who define themselves by belief. Quaritch becomes a mirror not to Jake, but to Pandora's own contradictions. Loak steps into the narrative spotlight, growing rapidly into a role he never wanted. He's impulsive, angry, but also fiercely protective and increasingly aware of what leadership demands. Spider, torn between his human origins and his Nausicaa's upbringing, finds himself slipping further into moral ambiguity, especially as the lines between right and wrong blur beyond recognition. Kiri's journey, however, is the most mystifying. Her connection to Iwa begins to shift. Visions become darker, more chaotic. At one point, she communes not with vibrant bioluminescent beings, but with twisted roots and flickering shadows. It's unclear whether this is evolution or corruption, and that ambiguity drives much of the film's spiritual tension. Cameron's vision of Pandora has always been immersive, but here it's elemental. The volcanoes erupt not just as natural phenomena, but as extensions of the Ash People's rage. Their city, carved into lava flows, black stone, and glassy obsidian, is unlike anything we've seen before. Fires burn beneath bridges, warriors ride lava-resistant beasts, and ash clouds blur the skies until they swallow light whole. In contrast, the Wind Traders' aerial sanctuaries glow like sky lanterns. They're serene, poetic, and entirely otherworldly. Floating spaces where plants grow upside down and creatures drift like smoke. The film's pacing builds deliberately, threading emotional introspection with mounting dread. As the Sullus travel between these new tribes, they begin to realize that this war isn't one they can fight and win with brute force or unity alone. Something deeper is unraveling. Iwa's signals grow unclear. At one point, a sacred site ceases to glow. Animals flee it. Rituals fail. It seems even the spiritual ecosystem of Pandora is in shock. And then comes the twist, not just a narrative shift but a character choice. One of the Sully children decides to remain with the Ash People. Not as a spy, not as a prisoner, but as a believer. They see in Varang's philosophy a harsh truth they've never encountered before, and the consequences of that decision ripple outward, changing the family forever. Meanwhile, a final confrontation erupts beneath a dormant volcano, until it isn't dormant anymore. It's there, amidst the ash and flame, that Kiri's power is fully unleashed. Nature itself bends, not in harmony, but in anguish. Fire rains upward. Magma flows in reverse. Creatures scatter. And just when it seems Iwa is gone, something primal reawakens. The resolution doesn't tie everything up. Quaritch's fate is left uncertain. The Ash People are neither vanquished nor redeemed. The Wind Traders drift away, having played their part as both witnesses and catalysts. Jake and Neytiri survive, but only barely. Grief has transformed them into something new. The family remains, though altered, fractured in some ways, reforged in others. What makes Fire and Ash a cultural phenomenon isn't just its scale or storytelling. It's its refusal to provide easy answers. It asks hard questions about tradition, rebellion, identity, and belief. It challenges the viewer to reconsider what they know about Pandora, and by extension, about themselves. The film reflects our own world in the most uncanny ways. Religious division, environmental collapse, ideological warfare, and the emotional cost of leadership. It speaks to a generation grappling with disillusionment. And yet, even in its darkest moments, the film never loses hope. Not blind optimism, but the kind of hope that rises through pain. The kind that survives fire. That's the heart of Avatar. Fire and ash. It burns. It scars. And it stays with you long after the credits roll. The story begins just 2 weeks after the events of Avatar. The Way of Water. The Sully family is in mourning. The death of Needium, Jake and Neytiri's oldest son, has left a deep scar. The mood is heavy, and everyone is trying to cope in their own way. Jake, once a strong leader, is now emotionally distant, and Neytiri, always fierce, is holding back an anger that seems ready to explode. Their children, Lo-Ak, Tuck, Kiri, and Spider, are confused, hurt, and unsure where they stand. The family is still together, but the weight of grief is pulling them apart. While the Sullus try to heal, a new danger rises deep within Pandora. The Ash People. They are nothing like the forest or water clans we've seen before. These Gnostics live near volcanoes, in a harsh, smoky land where ash covers everything. They are tough, warlike, and most shocking of all, they don't believe in Iwa. Their leader, Varang, is cold and commanding. She believes Iwa abandoned her people long ago, and now they must rely on fire and strength, not faith. The first half of the film slowly builds this tension. The Ash People are not friendly, and they don't want peace. They view other clans as weak and blind. Their city is made of black stone and cooled lava, with molten rivers running beneath their bridges. Their warriors train with brutal discipline. When Varong appears, she makes one thing clear: her clan will not follow the old ways. Her presence sends a chill across Pandora. This is not a rebellion. It's a break from everything the Gnostics have believed. Meanwhile, Kiri begins to experience strange visions. She's always had a deep connection to Iwa, but now something feels different. When she meditates or touches sacred places, she doesn't see light or peace. She sees shadows, ash, and cracked trees. Something is changing. Iwa isn't silent, but her messages feel dark and unclear. Kiri keeps this to herself at first, but it's clear she senses that the planet is shifting, spiritually and physically. A new clan is introduced during this time: the Wind Traders. They live high in the sky in floating airships and giant leaf-shaped balloons. They drift across Pandora's skies, trading goods and knowledge, keeping their distance from conflicts. Their leader, Palak, is calm and thoughtful, but even he can feel that something big is coming. The Wind Traders aren't warriors, but they see the value in alliances and the danger in silence. Back in the forest, things go from bad to worse. Jake is captured in a surprise ambush by human forces working with the RDA. He's publicly displayed in propaganda broadcasts, used as a trophy to humiliate the Gnostics. The humans want to break his spirit and turn him into a symbol of defeat. But while he's locked away, Spider and Lo AK plan a risky rescue. Lo AK, now more rebellious and brave, steps into a leadership role. He disagrees with Jake's cautious style. He believes action, not hiding, will protect their people. Spider, on the other hand, struggles with his identity. He's human but raised as Gnostics. His biological father, Colonel Quaritch, is still alive, reborn in a Gnostic's body. Quaritch now roams Pandora, trying to understand and use Gnostics culture to his advantage. His new form gives him strength but also confusion. He's not fully human anymore, but he refuses to be Gnostics. When he encounters Varong, there's an uneasy alliance. She sees him as a weapon against the old beliefs. He sees her as a path to his revenge against Jake. In one powerful moment, Neytiri is ambushed by an ash warrior. The attacker has gray skin stained with red war paint and wields a blade made of volcanic glass. Neytiri barely escapes, but the message is clear: the ash people are declaring war. That night, their warriors attack a peaceful village, leaving behind burned symbols and ash. It's not just destruction, it's a warning. The Sully family reunites after Jake is rescued, but they're not the same. Trust is broken. Fear has set in. Even Neytiri and Jake begin to question whether they can keep their family safe. At this moment, the Wind Traders arrive, offering shelter and advice, but not direct help. Palak warns them. The Ash people are not just fighting for land, but for a future without Iwa. Then Kiri's visions grow stronger. She begins to speak in voices not her own, and glowing plants around her flicker and die. During a visit to a sacred grove, the roots go dark and animals run away. Something is poisoning the spirit of Pandora. She tells her family, but not everyone believes her. Only Tuck, the youngest, listens with open heart. The first half builds toward a massive moment. A sacred shrine deep in the mountains starts to crack as the earth below rumbles. A volcano, long thought dormant, begins to wake. Jake and his family rush to protect the area, but it's too late. Lava bursts through the rock. Ash covers the sky. In the chaos, Kiri stands still, her eyes glowing. She raises her hands, and for a second, the lava seems to stop midair. The fire dances around her, responding. Everyone watches in silence. Something has awakened inside her. But is it Iwa or something else? As the ash settles and the fire dims, the Sully family realizes they are standing at the edge of a much bigger war. Not just between clans, but between old beliefs and new ones, between life and destruction, between the past and whatever Pandora is becoming. And the choices they make now will shape everything that comes next. As the midpoint volcano eruption shakes Pandora, the Sully family plunges headfirst into the real war they've been bracing for. Lava flows, ash rains, and the spiritual balance of Pandora fractures completely as Kiri's mysterious power erupts. Jake, Neytiri, Loak, Tuck, Spider, and even Colonel Quaritch arrive at the site, alliances shifting as the landscape burns around them. In that moment of chaos, the final fight begins. Quaritch, now fully aligned with the Ash people, steps into their territory painted in their red war colors. His presence gives their rage focus. He moves confidently through their molten city, rage welded to ideology. Spider watches Quaritch with torn eyes, torn between love and fear as his father embraces a discipline rooted in destruction. The Ash warriors, fierce and elemental, wage war with flaming arrows and obsidian blades, lighting the sky with arcs of fire. Ash falls like snow. Meanwhile, the Wind Traders appear in the sky overhead, their massive floating vessels casting silhouette shadows beneath fiery clouds. Palak offers neutrality, but his arrival splits Pandora's factions further. Some hope for diplomacy. Others see their silence as betrayal. Their presence foreshadows a three-way showdown. Sully clan, Ash people allied with Quaritch and RDA, and traitors hovering between peace and power. Amidst battle, Loak takes charge. As narrator, he draws the story close to his eyes. Each step he takes shapes the narrative. He rescues survivors, shields Spider when he falters, challenges Jake's old way of doing war. His leadership is born from grief and necessity, each breath heavy with responsibility. Neytiri confronts Varong in hand-to-hand combat. Flaming arrows scorch bark, obsidian daggers clash. The hate they carry, loss, ideology, grief, collides. At one point, Varong smashes part of Neytiri's bow, a symbolic breaking of tradition. This is not just a fight, it's a spiritual battle. Your goddess has no dominion here, Varong hisses, echoing across the battlefield and cracking Iwa's presence. Kiri, central to the climax, steps into the ruined shrine, ash swirling at her feet. Her power bursts like a beacon, fire lifts, magma halts mid-flow, and living plant life begins to bloom out of ash. It's ambiguous. Salvation, corruption, or both. The moment takes people's breath. The shrine glows, not with the usual light of Iwa, but with a trembling aura. It's powerful, mysterious, terrifying. Guilt and wonder balance on every face. Then the final twist. One of the Sully children chooses the Ash people. Not as captive or spy, but believer. Their decision shatters the family line, redefining loyalty and belief. It's a blow that echoes through Pandora. Blood is no longer unity, belief is. Jake and Neytiri watch in silence, sorrowful acceptance and heartbreak mixing in their eyes. The choice cannot be undone. Quaritch's fate is left unresolved. He hesitates in front of Jake, gauntlet charged with rage. The two men stare, and then the magma collapses beneath them. He disappears into molten rock, punch frozen in midair. Is it death? Retreat? The film leaves it uncertain, a moral reckoning suspended. Spoiler though, as ash clears, the Sully family stands together on jagged gray stone, battered and pain-worn but alive. They survive, but they are changed. Varong retreats with her people into charred lands, their ideological war kindled but not ended. The Wind Traders drift away with their airships, quietly observing what's next, neither defeated nor victorious. The RDA forces withdraw as their allies crumble, but their deeper ambitions remain ominous in the hush. In the final shot, Pandora breathes again. Spores float, spores glow. A new ecosystem begins at the edge where fire met spirit. Kiri watches as glowing plants bloom over cooled ash, her eyes sober but alert. Neytiri and Jake exchange a look of exhausted strength. The screen fades, and the silence is deep, but it's a silence forged in transformation, not defeat. Pandora's fire-wreathed landscapes come alive only because its characters are burning inside. Jake Sully begins the saga transformed, not the hopeful outsider-turned-hero of the first film, but a wounded leader haunted by grief. In fire and ash, his anger is quieter, buried under sorrow. His strength is now burdened by doubt. The loss of his eldest son cracks him. Every decision is colored by guilt, as if he's carrying the weight of Pandora's suffering on his shoulders. His journey in the film is less about defeating enemies and more about reclaiming purpose. finding clarity in chaos. Neytiri matches his grief note for note, her performance a fierce storm of rage and restraint. She no longer fights with the fluid grace of harmony but with jagged immediacy, as if each arrow released carries years of unanswered questions. The scenes where she faces Varong, her ideological opposite, ring with echoes of spiritual betrayal. She learns that anger does not erase pain, but it can reshape identity. Through Zoe Saldana's performance, Neytiri becomes both broken and nearly unbreakable, a warrior reshaped by both loss and legacy. Kiri, adopted daughter of Jake and Neytiri, carries something deeper. As the child of Grace Augustine's avatar, she embodies faith and connection. But in this story, faith becomes unstable. Sigourney Weaver gives Kiri an otherworldly weight. She's no longer the innocent channel of Iwa's will. Her visions grow dark, her silence heavy. When Varong forces her to confront her beliefs, Kiri's crisis is spiritual and existential. She isn't just fighting for survival. She's fighting for the soul of Pandora. Then there is Varong, a Gnostic's antagonist unlike anything before. Una Chaplin brings raw, magnetic intensity to the role. Her Varong is molded by fire and trauma, a leader sharpened by loss and hardened by betrayal. She controls her people through ritual, rigid discipline, and a stark rejection of Iwa. When she meets Kiri and proclaims, "Your goddess has no dominion here," she isn't reacting out of cruelty. She's delivering truth as she sees it. She commands obedience and questions faith. She doesn't act for conquest, but for survival. Her performance walks a tightrope between empathy and menace. Through her presence, the film asks, what happens when belief dies from within? Supporting characters deepen this emotional tapestry. Loe K, Jake and Neytiri's son, emerges from childhood shadow into leadership. His arc is fueled by frustration and fierce loyalty. He often challenges his parents, insisting on action rather than retreat. His confrontation with Quaritch reveals a bitterness born of betrayal, but also a clarity too young to be philosophical, yet shaped by pain. Spider, the adopted human teen child of Jake and Neytiri, remains torn between two worlds. His biological father, Quaritch, now walks Pandora in Gnostic's form, brutal and purpose-driven. Spider's grief over Nedium's death collides with confusion over his father's return. His loyalty fractures as he watches his father align with Varang's ideology. The emotional conflict inside him becomes a small battlefield of identity and allegiance. Colonel Miles Quaritch, reborn in a Gnostic's body, brings renewed menace. Stephen Lang gives him weight, the same ruthless precision tempered with a bitter new self-awareness. He's alienated from both humans and Gnostics, and finding common cause with Varong offers him refuge, but also moral ruin. He becomes a symbol of self-inflicted loss, given life without belonging. His alignment with the Ash people intensifies the film's central tension. When one power rejects Iwa, another rejects humanity. Then there's Palak, the leader of the Wind Traders, played by David Thewlis. His performance is suave but grounded. The Wind Traders remain neutral, but their neutrality has power. Palak's vibrant cloak and measured demeanor hide a sharp mind that sees more than most. His people trade culture and goods across Pandora's skies, and they see both beauty and fracture. He offers Jake and Neytiri counsel, less spiritual than pragmatic, but his true value is in reminding them that belief and action can coexist if balanced. Even secondary figures matter. Amoet, Neytiri's mother and spiritual guide, remains a quiet anchor. Her presence in two scenes amounts to emotional ballast. Tanawari and Ronal, from the Reef clan, appear briefly but carry weight as symbols of continuity and tradition. Cyria, Loe K's love interest, becomes a voice of hope amid the ash, emphasizing what is being risked, not just land, but love and legacy. What ties these arcs together is a central heartbeat, belief under pressure. Jake and Neytiri's family must decide what unites them. Faith falters, identity fractures, loyalties shift. The children Loe K, Kiri, Spider are each drawn in different directions. The older generation is unsure whether survival means fighting, forgiving, or giving in. Every performance reflects that ambiguity. Theme threads flow naturally. Varang's trauma-based leadership mirrors Neytiri's rage, from opposite sides. Kiri's crisis of faith contrasts with Quillrat's devotion. Palak's diplomacy offers an alternative to extremism. Spider's torn loyalty becomes a microcosm of Pandora's larger ideological wars. Here, performance captures nuance. The echo in Jake's eye as he looks at Kiri. The tremor in Neytiri's voice before an arrow release. The shifting stance of Palak when presented with violence. The cold, studied detachment in Varang, cracking only when confronted with loss. By the film's end, these arcs intertwine into something unforgettable. Kiri stands in a volcanic shrine, raising power that may save or destroy. Loak organizes resistance through personal sacrifice. Spider must choose whether to stand with his family, or stand against them as the Ash People's child. Jake and Neytiri stand together, battered but present, holding on to hope amid ashes. The emotional weight doesn't come from easy arcs, but from transformations born of grief, ideology, and ambiguous resolution. Every actor brings their character out of myth and into emotional flesh. The supporting roles aren't filler. They shift tone and heighten stakes. The film holds everything together with these performances. You don't just watch them, you feel the cost. Making Avatar, Fire and Ash was a journey almost as epic as the story it tells. A saga full of technological marvels, creative risks, and surprising human moments behind the scenes. From the start, director James Cameron's vision pushed the limits of filmmaking, challenging everyone involved to break new ground. The scale alone was staggering. This wasn't just a sequel or a standalone movie. It was the continuation of a world built over decades, and the team had to invent new tools to bring it alive. One of the strangest production challenges was the way the filmmakers captured the intense volcanic and ash-filled environments of Pandora. Traditional green screen and CGI simply couldn't convey the weight and presence Cameron wanted. Instead, the crew built massive physical sets that could simulate volcanic heat, ash falling like snow, and glowing lava flows. For some scenes, actors performed surrounded by controlled blasts of heated steam and ash-like particles that required special safety measures. It was an unusual mix of digital and tactile effects, creating a world both otherworldly and tactile. Zoe Saldaña, who plays Neytiri, once joked that breathing felt like inhaling pepper, an unexpected side effect of shooting in so much ash. The performance capture technology evolved in extraordinary ways too. The actors didn't just wear the usual suits with dots to track their movements. The filmmakers developed helmets with ultra-high-definition cameras that captured subtle facial expressions, even tiny muscle twitches and eye movements, allowing for emotions to translate flawlessly onto the Nausicaans characters. Sigourney Weaver, returning as Kiri's voice and motion, described the experience as like acting in a space helmet but with your face on full display, highlighting how intimate and exhausting the process could be. It meant every glance, every whisper had to be precise, as if performing on stage but in a completely digital world. Stephen Lang, who reprised the role of Colonel Quaritch, shared a particularly bizarre anecdote. To portray his character's brutal transformation from human to Nausicaans hybrid, he wore prosthetic bodysuits and blue body paint for hours daily, yet the most uncomfortable part was the clawed nails glued to his fingers. They were so sharp and long that on one occasion, he accidentally scratched his co-star's arm during a heated scene, causing a mix of laughter and quick first aid on set. Behind the camera, James Cameron was known for demanding multiple takes, sometimes shooting the same scene dozens of times to capture the perfect nuance. One famous instance involved a moment where Jake Sully, played by Sam Worthington, confronts his son Loak in a volcanic cave. Cameron wanted not just emotional authenticity but also to capture how the shifting light from the lava affected the actors' faces dynamically. This meant shooting late into the night under scorching heat lamps, making the scene physically draining but visually stunning. On the creative side, the team consulted extensively with cultural experts and scientists to make the Ash People and their volcanic ecosystem believable. The Ash People's customs, clothing, and rituals were inspired by a surprising variety of real-world cultures, ranging from indigenous Pacific Islander fire ceremonies to Native American ash burial rites. Costume designer April Napier revealed that some of the Ash people's scarification patterns were painstakingly researched to represent survival marks and tribal lineage, adding layers of depth that casual viewers might miss. This cultural richness was deliberately woven into the fabric of the story, highlighting how Pandora's tribes evolved separately yet shared universal themes of resilience and loss. One of the film's strangest production stories comes from the involvement of the Wind Traders' flying ships. Cameron insisted that their movement feel organic and lifelike, so animators studied how giant manta rays and stingrays glide underwater. To mimic that fluidity, they designed the ships with flexible wings that appear to pulse with the wind, an effect that required complex new animation software. The crew joked that the ships sometimes seemed like living creatures themselves, leading to a running joke on set that the Wind Traders might be just big, fancy animals. Casting brought its own surprises. Una Chaplin, who plays Varong, admitted that her first audition was so intense she accidentally snapped a prop spear in half. The director liked the raw energy and tension she brought and decided to keep that fierceness in the character. But the behind-the-scenes pressure on Chaplin was enormous. She trained in martial arts and weapon handling for months to embody Varang's warrior spirit authentically. Her transformation from a typically warm and gentle actress into a fierce, complex antagonist is one of the most striking elements of the film. The film's score also had an unusual backstory. Composer Simon Franglen returned and integrated sounds recorded from volcanic sites around the world, including active volcanoes in Hawaii and Iceland. These natural sounds, rumbling, crackling, and even the deep pulse of magma flows, were sampled and woven into the music, giving the soundtrack a primal energy that connects the viewer viscerally to Pandora's fiery heart. Franglen mentioned in an interview that at one point, the volume of the volcanic sounds was so intense in the studio that it physically shook the mixing room, making it hard to focus. The editing process revealed some unexpected tensions. Early rough cuts of the film ran nearly 4 hours long, and the team struggled to balance epic scope with narrative pacing. Cameron reportedly clashed with studio executives over how much time to devote to spiritual and cultural scenes versus action sequences. The final cut is a compromise, a richly layered film that still manages to maintain suspense and emotional intensity. An intriguing controversy emerged after release concerning the portrayal of the Ash people's ideology. Some critics argued that the depiction risked stereotyping indigenous cultures as primitive or violent, while others praised the film's nuanced exploration of trauma and survival. The filmmakers responded by emphasizing their efforts to portray cultural complexity and acknowledged the difficulty in balancing fantasy and respectful representation. The conversation sparked renewed debates about Hollywood's responsibility when borrowing from real-world cultures for science fiction narratives. One little-known fact: the actors spent weeks bonding with actual indigenous firekeepers and tribal elders from various cultures before filming. This wasn't just cultural research but a form of spiritual preparation. Zoe Saldana credited this experience with deepening her portrayal of Neytiri's grief and leadership, saying it helped her access emotions she hadn't explored before. These moments off-camera added unexpected layers to performances, making the characters feel lived in and authentic. Finally, a humorous behind-the-scenes moment involved Sam Worthington's reaction to the intense prosthetics required for his scenes as Jake. The Naasik's facial makeup often took up to 6 hours daily, during which Worthington learned to entertain himself by creating improvised stories and voices with the makeup artists. This camaraderie lightened the long days and is credited with helping keep morale high on a demanding set. Avatar: Fire and Ash unfolds with a remarkable balance of breathtaking visuals and deeply emotional storytelling, but it is in its key moments where the film truly resonates. These scenes are not just cinematic set pieces. They carry layers of meaning that amplify the movie's themes of loss, identity, and renewal, shaping how viewers connect to Pandora and its inhabitants. One of the earliest standout moments is when Neytiri confronts Varong, the fierce leader of the Ash people, atop the smoldering cliffs. This scene crackles with tension and power, not just in the fiery backdrop, but in the raw emotion carried between the characters. Neytiri's steely resolve clashes with Varang's aggressive survivalism, embodying the film's central conflict: tradition versus rebellion, harmony versus destruction. The scene's pacing is deliberate, allowing viewers to soak in the silence between words, the weight of years of trauma and mistrust. It's a masterclass in how performance and environment work together. The flickering ash and glowing lava aren't mere spectacle but symbolic of the internal fires burning within both warriors. Audience reactions reflected this intensity, often describing a palpable sense of unease mixed with respect for these two fierce women shaping Pandora's future. The film's emotional heart beats most strongly in Jake Sully's reunion with his children, particularly Lo-ak. Their relationship has always been complex, and this movie deepens it with scenes that explore legacy, expectation, and the burden of leadership. One memorable moment finds Jake and Lo-ak sitting near a volcanic pool, the conversation tentative but charged with unspoken fears. The visuals here, glowing orange light reflecting on their faces, serve as a metaphor for the fragile line between warmth and danger in their bond. It's a quiet scene, yet its emotional depth is immense, revealing Jake's vulnerability as a father and leader, and Lo-ak's struggle to forge his own path. Critics praised this as a turning point, showing that even amidst cosmic battles, personal relationships hold the greatest stakes. Perhaps the most visually and thematically striking sequence is the volcanic eruption that reshapes the Ash people's homeland. The film's depiction of this cataclysm is not just a spectacle but a symbolic crucible. As molten rock and ash threaten to consume the land, the characters' choices reflect their internal transformation. The way the filmmakers blend CGI with practical effects makes the eruption feel tangible and terrifying. The slow-motion shots of falling ash, interspersed with close-ups of faces hardened by loss, underscore the theme that destruction often clears the way for renewal. This moment challenges the audience to confront the cycle of violence and rebirth central to the narrative. It's no surprise that viewers often cited this as the most unforgettable visual experience, leaving them in awe long after the credits. A pivotal twist unfolds when Kiri's hidden abilities come to light. Her connection to Iwa is not just mystical but deeply personal, revealing layers of Pandora's spirituality. The scene where Kiri manipulates ash to create life is nothing short of mesmerizing, each movement imbued with grace and power. The filmmakers use this moment to bridge the physical and spiritual worlds, with soft bioluminescent light contrasting against the dark ash, suggesting hope rising from despair. Audience reactions ranged from awe to chills, recognizing this as a turning point that redefines the stakes. Thematically, it speaks to resilience, reminding viewers that even the bleakest ashes can give rise to new beginnings. The tension between Quaritch and Jake also reaches a boiling point in the climactic battle. What makes their confrontation special is the deep history and personal vendetta behind it. Quaritch, now transformed and imbued with Gnostic strength, represents not just a physical threat, but the persistence of human greed and violence. Jake, embodying the hope for peace and unity, faces him with a mix of fury and regret. Their fight scenes are choreographed with visceral brutality, but the emotional undercurrents elevate them beyond typical action fare. Each blow exchanged carries the weight of cultural clash and personal betrayal. Critics and fans alike noted that this battle isn't about spectacle alone, but about the ideological war over Pandora's soul. Another critical moment comes in a quieter form: the Ash People's ceremonial gathering, where old wounds and tentative alliances surface. The chanting, the flickering fires, and the interplay of shadows create a ritualistic atmosphere that grounds the story in deep cultural roots. This scene serves as a reminder that the conflict isn't just external but also internal, a struggle to reconcile past grievances and envision a shared future. It's one of the film's most poignant explorations of community and healing, inviting viewers to reflect on forgiveness and the cost of division. The emotional resonance here lingers, offering a powerful counterbalance to the film's more explosive sequences. The film also excels in its subtle use of nature to amplify emotional beats. For example, moments when the wind carries ash across a character's face, or when a sudden volcanic ember sparks in the darkness, often coincide with internal realizations or decisions. These visual cues enrich the storytelling, weaving Pandora's natural world into the characters' emotional journeys. Audiences frequently noted these moments as quietly beautiful and deeply immersive, contributing to the film's reputation for blending spectacle with soul. The soundtrack plays an essential role in shaping these key scenes. Simon Franglen's score uses volcanic sounds and tribal rhythms to evoke tension and release, making the audience feel the planet's pulse. In emotional scenes like Jake's reconciliation with Lo-ak or Kiri's awakening, the music swells with a haunting melody that echoes the themes of loss and hope. This auditory layer ensures that viewers don't just see the drama. They feel it, making the cinematic experience immersive on multiple levels. In sum, the most impactful scenes in Fire and Ash are a fusion of visual artistry, powerful performances, and thematic depth. They invite audiences to engage not just with the story, but with the underlying messages about healing, identity, and the cycles of destruction and rebirth. These moments anchor the film, ensuring it resonates long after the theater lights come up and sparking rich discussions among fans and critics alike. Through them, Fire and Ash transcends being a simple sequel. It becomes a meaningful exploration of what it means to live and fight for a world worth saving. Avatar: Fire and Ash is more than a visually stunning continuation of Pandora's story. It's a rich tapestry of themes and symbolism that invite viewers to reflect deeply on real-world issues. From the very first frame, the film weaves its narrative with layers of meaning that speak to the complexities of identity, survival, and the relationship between humanity and nature. One of the most compelling themes is the cycle of destruction and renewal, embodied by the volcanic landscapes that dominate the movie's setting. Fire and ash are traditionally symbols of devastation, but here they also represent the possibility of new life emerging from ruin. This duality mirrors the struggles of the Ash people, who survive amid constant danger and environmental upheaval. Their resilience becomes a metaphor for communities worldwide facing climate disasters, displacement, and cultural erosion. The way the film shows land destroyed by volcanic eruption but slowly healing under the care of its inhabitants reflects a hopeful message that even after catastrophe, restoration is possible with respect and effort. The film's portrayal of the Ash people's culture is deeply symbolic. Their ash-covered bodies and scarred skin speak not only to their environment but also to the scars of history, both personal and collective. These markings tell stories of survival, sacrifice, and resistance, reminding us that identity is forged through struggle and memory. In this way, the Ash people become a living symbol of marginalized groups who carry the weight of trauma yet hold tightly to traditions that sustain them. The movie encourages viewers to see beyond surface appearances, understanding the deep connections between culture, place, and resilience. Fire itself holds layered significance throughout the story. It is a destructive force, yes, but also a source of warmth, light, and renewal. Scenes where characters gather around fire, whether in ritual or in moments of reflection, underscore its role as a symbol of community and shared history. The flames connect the past with the present, illuminating paths forward even in darkness. This symbolism extends to the characters' personal journeys, especially Jake and Neytiri, whose leadership is tested in the fires of conflict and loss. Their ability to harness the fire's dual nature reflects a broader message about balance, the need to confront pain without being consumed by it. The natural world of Pandora itself serves as a powerful symbol throughout the film. The volcanic ash that blankets the land is not simply a backdrop. It's an active participant in the story. It blurs boundaries between destruction and creation, danger and shelter. The film's attention to Pandora's ecosystems highlights the delicate interdependence between all life forms. This ecological interconnectedness is a central theme, urging audiences to reconsider their relationship with nature. The message is clear. Disregard for the environment leads to imbalance and devastation, while respect and harmony can foster regeneration and hope. Beyond environmental themes, Fire and Ash delves into questions of identity and belonging. Jake's transformation from human soldier to Nausica's leader mirrors a journey many experience when navigating multiple cultures or worlds. His struggles with loyalty, heritage, and responsibility resonate as metaphors for anyone facing the challenge of bridging different identities. The film shows that true belonging requires understanding and embracing complexity, rather than rejecting parts of oneself or others. This nuanced portrayal invites viewers to reflect on their own identities and the communities they belong to. The theme of family and legacy runs deeply through the narrative as well. Jake's relationship with his children, especially Lo-ak, is fraught with expectations and misunderstandings, reflecting the universal tensions between generations. Their struggles speak to the broader human experience of passing on values while adapting to changing realities. The film suggests that legacy is not just about preserving the past but also about creating space for growth and change. This is symbolized in the evolving alliances between Pandora's tribes, who must reconcile old wounds to face a common future. Social commentary is woven into the film's depiction of conflict, particularly in the clash between human colonizers and Pandora's indigenous peoples. Quaritch embodies the destructive consequences of unchecked militarism and greed, while the Nausicaa represent a worldview centered on respect, balance, and coexistence. The film critiques real-world histories of colonization and exploitation, urging a reconsideration of power dynamics and ethical responsibility. By showing the devastating impact of resource extraction on Pandora's environment and cultures, Fire and Ash highlights urgent contemporary issues like environmental justice and indigenous rights. The movie also touches on the theme of spiritual connection, especially through the character of Kiri and her link to Aiwa. This connection emphasizes the film's message that spirituality and nature are inseparable, and that healing both the planet and its inhabitants requires recognizing this bond. The glowing bioluminescent visuals accompanying these moments are not mere spectacle but a symbolic language of unity and renewal. The film invites viewers to consider how modern society often overlooks such connections, resulting in alienation and harm. Another important symbolic element is the use of ash itself as a motif. Ash represents both death and fertility, a paradox that runs throughout the film. It is the residue left by fire, but it also nourishes new growth in nature. Characters covered in ash are literally and figuratively marked by their experiences, yet they also carry the potential for transformation. This duality reflects the film's broader meditation on human and ecological cycles, encouraging audiences to embrace complexity rather than seek simple answers. The movie's rich use of ritual and ceremony further reinforces its themes. The gatherings of the Ash People, with their chants and dances around the fire, serve as acts of remembrance and solidarity. These rituals are symbolic of the human need for connection, meaning, and continuity. They also reflect real-world indigenous practices, grounding the film's fantasy in authentic cultural expressions. This respectful portrayal adds depth and realism, reminding viewers that cultural survival is an act of resilience and hope. In weaving these themes and symbols into its storytelling, Avatar, Fire and Ash achieves more than entertainment. It becomes a mirror reflecting critical questions about humanity's place in the world. The film asks viewers to consider how we respond to loss, how we define identity, and how we might live more harmoniously with the planet. Its rich symbolism invites repeated viewings, each time revealing new layers of meaning that resonate with contemporary social and environmental challenges. Ultimately, Fire and Ash is a story of balance between destruction and creation, tradition and change, self and community. Its themes encourage a deep empathy for the characters and their world, inviting audiences to carry those reflections beyond the screen into their own lives. From the very first frame of Avatar, Fire and Ash, it's clear that the film is not just a story but a visual and sensory journey crafted with meticulous care. Director James Cameron's vision comes alive through a combination of cutting-edge technology and masterful artistry, creating a cinematic experience that pulls viewers deep into the fiery, ash-laden world of Pandora. The film's visual style, cinematography, editing, and sound design work together like a symphony, each element enhancing the other to create an unforgettable storytelling experience. One of the most striking aspects is the film's visual style, which balances realism with fantasy in a way few films achieve. The volcanic landscapes are rendered with astonishing detail, from glowing rivers of lava to swirling ash clouds that obscure and reveal the world in equal measure. Cinematographer Mauro Fiore, returning after the first Avatar, used a combination of digital and practical effects to create environments that feel alive and unpredictable. The interplay of light and shadow plays a major role here. Glowing embers and molten rock cast flickering, warm hues against the cool blue tones of the Nausicaans characters, visually emphasizing the tension between the harsh environment and the living beings who inhabit it. Camera work in Fire and Ash is dynamic yet purposeful. The use of sweeping wide shots establishes the scale and danger of the volcanic terrain, allowing viewers to appreciate the vastness of Pandora's changed landscape. These are often contrasted with tight, intimate close-ups that capture the emotional subtleties of the characters. One memorable technique is the frequent use of slow, deliberate tracking shots that follow characters through ash storms or lava flows, immersing the audience in their perilous journey. This creates a sense of movement and urgency that is both thrilling and grounding. Editing is key to maintaining the film's rhythm and emotional impact. Editors Stephen E. Rivkin and John Rafua crafted sequences that flow seamlessly between high-intensity action and quieter, reflective moments. The pacing is carefully modulated so that the audience never feels rushed or fatigued by the film's epic scale. For example, after the explosive volcanic eruptions and battle scenes, the editing slows down to focus on the characters' reactions and interactions, giving viewers time to absorb the stakes and emotional consequences. This balance is crucial. It prevents spectacle from overwhelming story, and vice versa. Sound design further elevates the immersive quality of the film. The team, led by sound designer Christopher Boyes, developed a soundscape that complements the fiery visuals without overwhelming them. The crackling of burning ash, the rumble of shifting earth, and the whoosh of volcanic gases all contribute to making Pandora's environment feel tangible. The subtle layering of these sounds helps build tension and heightens moments of calm, making silence just as powerful as noise. In many scenes, the absence of sound during a volcanic eruption's peak creates a haunting stillness that contrasts with the visual chaos, drawing viewers into the character's experience. Music is another integral layer that shapes the film's atmosphere. Composer Simon Franglen built on themes from the original Avatar, but introduced new motifs inspired by volcanic activity and tribal rhythms. His score uses a mix of traditional orchestral instruments and electronic textures, creating a soundscape that is both ancient and futuristic. In emotional scenes, the music swells with a haunting beauty, underscoring the characters' struggles and triumphs without ever overpowering the visuals. The use of indigenous instruments and chants adds authenticity to the Ash people's culture, weaving sound and story into a single thread. A unique stylistic choice in Fire and Ash is its use of color to symbolize emotional and thematic elements. The pervasive ash and fire bring a palette dominated by dark grays, blacks, and fiery oranges, contrasting sharply with the vibrant blues and greens associated with the Nausicaans and Pandora's original beauty. This color contrast visually represents the conflict between destruction and life, despair and hope. During moments of transformation or revelation, the film often shifts its color tone subtly. Ash might glow softly with blue bioluminescence, or lava flows might take on a golden hue, signaling shifts in mood and meaning. The director's commitment to blending technology with human performance shines in the film's use of performance capture. Unlike traditional CGI-heavy films, Fire and Ash captures actors' performances with unprecedented fidelity, including nuanced facial expressions and subtle gestures. This approach allows the audience to connect emotionally with the Nausicaans characters, who might otherwise feel distant or artificial. The cinematography incorporates this data into dynamic shots that make characters appear fully three-dimensional and alive within their environment. This integration of technology and artistry is a defining feature of Cameron's vision, making the impossible feel real. Another notable cinematic technique is the film's choreography of movement, both in action scenes and in quieter moments. The fluidity with which the Nausicaans move, whether riding creatures, performing rituals, or engaging in combat, is designed to echo natural animal movements, emphasizing their connection to Pandora. The filmmakers studied the locomotion of manta rays, birds, and big cats to inspire these motions, and the camera often moves in tandem with the characters, enhancing the sensation of being part of the scene. This results in a graceful, almost dance-like quality to many sequences, which deepens the emotional resonance. The film's editing also cleverly uses parallel storytelling, cutting between different groups or characters facing their own challenges, yet linked by a shared fate. For instance, As the Ash people struggle to save their homeland from volcanic destruction, the Nausicaa clans rally to support them, and human characters wrestle with their loyalties. This narrative weaving keeps the story expansive but coherent, maintaining suspense while allowing for emotional depth. The editors manage transitions between these threads with visual motifs, such as drifting ash or glowing embers, that tie the disparate stories together visually and thematically. Sound and music also contribute to the film's world building by creating unique auditory identities for different tribes and environments. The Ash people have a percussive, primal sound palette that contrasts with the ethereal, melodic themes of the Nausicaa, reinforcing their cultural differences and the tension between survival and harmony. This sonic differentiation helps viewers intuitively grasp the film's complex social landscape without relying solely on dialogue or exposition. In moments of quiet introspection, the filmmakers use silence strategically. Scenes where characters reflect on loss or hope often feature minimal sound, allowing ambient noises like the whisper of wind or the crackle of distant fire to fill the space. This silence invites viewers to lean in, making emotional beats feel more personal and profound. It's a subtle but powerful technique that enriches the film's emotional texture. Visually, the film also employs symbolic framing and composition. Characters are often framed against overwhelming natural forces, raging lava flows, towering ash clouds, or vast skies, emphasizing their smallness in the face of nature's power. Yet, the camera also captures moments where individuals stand defiantly, their silhouettes backlit by fire, symbolizing courage and resilience. This interplay of scale and perspective underlines the film's core messages about humanity's place within the greater world. Finally, the film's use of slow motion and time manipulation adds to its visual storytelling. Key moments, such as volcanic eruptions, emotional confrontations, or ritual dances, are sometimes slowed down, allowing viewers to absorb every detail and feel the weight of the moment. This technique heightens drama without resorting to spectacle alone, emphasizing emotion over action. In essence, Avatar: Fire and Ash is a masterclass in cinematic technique, where every choice, from lighting and color to sound design and editing, serves the story and deepens immersion. The film's visual storytelling invites audiences not just to watch but to feel Pandora's fiery heart, making the experience as much about emotion and connection as about spectacle. Through these techniques, James Cameron crafts a world that is vivid, alive, and unforgettable. One of the most remarkable aspects of Avatar: Fire and Ash lies in the genuine chemistry between its cast members, which translates effortlessly onto the screen and breathes life into the sprawling, otherworldly story. From the very beginning of filming, the actors developed close bonds that helped shape the emotional depth of their performances. This camaraderie was crucial, especially given the challenges of performing largely in motion capture suits, surrounded by green screens, and interacting with digital environments that only fully took shape in post-production. Sam Worthington, reprising his role as Jake Sully, brought a renewed energy and vulnerability to his character, fueled in part by the strong rapport he shared with Zoe Saldaña, who returned as Neytiri. Their off-screen friendship added layers of authenticity to the complex relationship between Jake and Neytiri, a bond tested by the upheavals of the film's intense conflicts. Scenes that required emotional intensity, whether moments of tenderness, tension, or fierce loyalty, were heightened by the actors' ability to trust and support each other, even when performing under demanding technical constraints. Zoe Saldaña has often spoken about how the motion capture process deepened her connection to Neytiri, as the technology captures every subtle expression and movement. This intimacy between actor and character was further enhanced by her interactions with the young actor portraying Lo A.K., the couple's son. The chemistry between these actors, especially in family scenes, created a convincing dynamic that grounded the film's high-stakes adventure in relatable human emotion. Their warmth and occasional friction reflected the complexities of real family relationships, making their struggles and joys resonate with audiences. Behind the scenes, the cast and crew faced numerous challenges that required adaptability and collaboration. Motion capture filming often demands patience and imagination, since the actors must visualize their surroundings and creatures that aren't physically present. Yet, the cast embraced these challenges with enthusiasm, often joking and supporting each other to maintain morale during long days in the studio. Director James Cameron's leadership style fostered a sense of teamwork and shared purpose, encouraging actors to experiment and bring their own ideas to their roles. This open environment allowed for organic moments that sometimes found their way into the final cut, enriching the narrative with genuine spontaneity. The dynamic on set extended beyond the principal cast. Supporting actors portraying members of the Ash people and Nasik's clans contributed significantly to the film's atmosphere, bringing their characters' cultures to life through movement, speech, and ritual. Their dedication to authenticity involved learning new languages, customs, and physicality, creating a rich cultural tapestry that enhanced the story's believability. The actors' enthusiasm for embodying these roles deepened the sense of community and tradition central to the film's themes, and their interactions with the leads often sparked moments of heartfelt connection and tension. In addition to the actors, the relationship between the cast and the technical crew was pivotal in shaping the film's look and feel. Cinematographers, sound designers, and visual effects teams worked closely with performers to ensure that every scene captured the intended emotional tone. For example, during complex action sequences involving volcanic eruptions or ash storms, the choreography between actors and camera operators had to be perfectly synchronized to create seamless realism. These collaborations fostered a shared creative spirit that elevated the film from a technical feat to a deeply affecting story. Audience reactions to Fire and Ash have been powerful and varied, reflecting the film's emotional and thematic richness. Premiering to packed theaters worldwide, the film sparked enthusiastic applause and emotional responses, especially during scenes that highlight family bonds and cultural resilience. Social media buzzed with fans praising the visual spectacle but also discussing the characters' journeys and the film's environmental messages. Many viewers connected deeply with the struggles of the Ash people, seeing reflections of their own experiences or global issues related to climate change and displacement. Critics largely applauded the film's ambitious scope and emotional resonance, noting that the cast's performances were a standout element that grounded the dazzling visuals. Reviews highlighted the chemistry between the leads as a key strength, praising how their interactions conveyed a believable evolution of relationships amid chaos. Some critiques focused on the challenges of pacing given the film's long runtime, but most agreed that the emotional core and spectacular world-building made the journey worthwhile. Fan engagement has remained strong long after the initial release. Online communities dissect every frame, sharing fan art, theories, and discussions about character arcs and cultural symbolism. Conventions and fan events often feature panels with cast members who share behind-the-scenes stories and answer questions, further deepening the connection between audience and film. This sustained enthusiasm speaks to the lasting impact of the cast's work and the film's ability to inspire curiosity and empathy. Interestingly, many fans have commented on how the actors' genuine friendships have made the franchise feel like a family affair, adding a layer of warmth to an otherwise epic and sometimes dark narrative. This connection encourages viewers to return for sequels and spin-offs, eager to see how the characters and relationships evolve. The cast's willingness to engage with fans, through interviews, social media, and appearances, has also helped maintain interest and deepen appreciation for the story's complexities. In sum, the chemistry among the cast of Avatar, Fire and Ash is a foundational element that enriches the film's storytelling. It transforms what could have been a purely technical spectacle into a resonant human experience. The collaborative spirit on set, combined with the audience's enthusiastic reception, has created a vibrant community around the film, ensuring its place as a memorable and influential piece of cinema. Avatar, Fire and Ash arrived in theaters as more than just a blockbuster sequel. It marked a turning point in how science fiction and fantasy films are made and perceived. Its legacy is woven into the fabric of modern filmmaking, influencing not only its genre but also the broader cultural conversation around technology, environment, and storytelling itself. This film didn't just continue the saga of Pandora. It reshaped what audiences expect from cinematic experiences, pushing boundaries in ways that continue to ripple through Hollywood and beyond. At its core, Fire and Ash set a new standard for immersive world-building. James Cameron's relentless pursuit of technological innovation once again raised the bar for visual effects and performance capture, inspiring a wave of filmmakers to reimagine the possibilities of digital storytelling. The film's breakthrough in integrating advanced motion capture with realistic environmental effects sparked a renaissance in how filmmakers approach character animation and virtual sets. Beyond the technical feats, it demonstrated how these innovations could serve deeply emotional and culturally rich narratives, proving that technology and heart are not mutually exclusive but deeply intertwined. The impact on the sci-fi and fantasy genres has been profound. Many subsequent films and series adopted fire and ash's immersive techniques and environmental themes, seeking to replicate its balance of spectacle and substance. Its emphasis on indigenous cultures, ecological respect, and the complexities of colonialism resonated in storytelling worldwide, encouraging creators to explore these themes with greater nuance and respect. This shift helped expand the genre beyond escapism, inviting audiences to confront pressing real-world issues through the lens of fantasy. Culturally, Fire and Ash became a touchstone for conversations about climate change, displacement, and cultural survival. Its vivid portrayal of a world ravaged by volcanic fury, inhabited by people struggling to preserve their traditions and environment, struck a chord with global audiences facing ecological uncertainty. Activists and educators referenced the film to illustrate environmental urgency, while its depiction of indigenous resilience inspired discussions about cultural preservation in a rapidly changing world. In this way, the film transcended entertainment, becoming a cultural artifact that reflected and influenced societal values. The film's reception translated into a significant haul of awards and nominations, underscoring its technical brilliance and narrative depth. From Academy Awards recognizing groundbreaking visual effects and sound design to accolades honoring its production design and original score, Fire and Ash collected honors that cemented its place in cinematic history. Critics lauded it not only for spectacle but for the heart beneath its layers of fire and ash, acknowledging the powerful performances and meaningful themes that elevated it above typical blockbuster fare. Yet perhaps its most enduring achievement lies in its ability to connect with audiences over time. Avatar: Fire and Ash has proven remarkably resilient, maintaining strong fan engagement years after its release. Its themes of family, survival, and harmony with nature continue to resonate, fostering a passionate community eager to explore Pandora's world in ever greater detail. This ongoing dialogue between the film and its audience keeps it alive as a cultural phenomenon, one that invites reinterpretation and discovery with each viewing. The film's influence extends beyond cinema, shaping merchandise, theme park attractions, and educational initiatives. It has inspired artists, musicians, and writers, embedding itself into popular culture as a symbol of visionary storytelling. The continued development of its universe through sequels and related media promises to expand its legacy further, ensuring that Fire and Ash remains a vibrant part of cultural conversations about creativity, responsibility, and the power of imagination. Ultimately, the lasting significance of Avatar: Fire and Ash rests on its fusion of spectacle, heart, and message. It challenges viewers to look beyond dazzling visuals to the deeper stories about connection, to each other, to the land, and to the future. This balance of wonder and wisdom is what makes the film not just memorable but meaningful, securing its place as a modern classic whose impact will be felt for decades. Avatar: Fire and Ash stands as a remarkable achievement in modern cinema, a film that masterfully blends breathtaking visual spectacle with deeply human storytelling. From the first moment on screen, it draws viewers into a world that feels both alien and profoundly familiar, a place shaped by natural forces yet inhabited by characters whose struggles and triumphs resonate universally. What makes this film truly stand out is the way it balances the grandeur of its volcanic landscapes and sweeping action sequences with intimate moments of emotion, culture, and connection. The defining elements of Fire and Ash begin with its visionary direction and groundbreaking technology. James Cameron once again pushes the envelope, crafting an immersive Pandora where Fire and Ash are not just backdrop but active characters in the story. The film's cutting-edge motion capture and visual effects bring every eruption, every ember, and every nuanced expression to vivid life. Yet, beneath this technical mastery is a story that refuses to be overshadowed. A tale of family, survival, and the enduring power of hope amidst devastation. Central to the film's success is its rich character development and powerful performances. The cast's chemistry, forged through challenges both on and off set, breathes authenticity into their roles, making the Nausicaa and the Ash people feel like real communities facing real dilemmas. Their interactions, struggles, and growth carry the emotional weight of the narrative, inviting the audience to invest not only in spectacular battles, but in the fate of a people and their environment. Equally compelling is the film's thematic depth. Fire and Ash doesn't shy away from complex issues: environmental destruction, cultural survival, and the clash between progress and preservation. These themes are woven seamlessly into the fabric of the story, offering viewers a chance to reflect on the real world through the lens of Pandora's fiery trials. The symbolism of fire and ash as both destructive and purifying forces adds layers of meaning that enrich every scene. The film's artistry extends beyond story and performance into its cinematic techniques. Its use of lighting, color, sound, and editing crafts an atmosphere that is both mesmerizing and emotionally charged. The interplay of fiery reds and cool blues visually echoes the film's central conflicts, while the soundscape, combining natural elements with a haunting score, immerses the audience in a fully realized world. Every technical choice serves the narrative, creating an experience that lingers long after the credits roll. Moreover, the legacy of Avatar, Fire and Ash, is already evident in its impact on filmmaking and popular culture. It has inspired a new wave of storytelling that embraces technological innovation while honoring cultural complexity and environmental awareness. Fans continue to celebrate the film through art, discussion, and community, keeping Pandora alive as a place of wonder and reflection. Its influence will shape the way future generations think about cinema's potential to move and matter. As we look back on what makes Fire and Ash exceptional, it's clear that this film is more than the sum of its parts. It's a testament to the power of cinema to transport us, challenge us, and connect us. It invites us not just to watch but to feel, to think, and to dream about the worlds we share and the futures we shape. This is why Avatar, Fire and Ash will remain a beacon in the landscape of film, a story of fire and ash, but ultimately, of life and renewal. If you love this breakdown, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of cinema. Let's keep exploring movies together.